Yo, what's up, ninjas? My name is Sam Rold. I just shaved. I'm wearing a dark, deep V-neck inspired by Blaster Jack's pre-2015. I think like the main guy's kind of like looks like he gained weight, or he just looks a little bit more inflated compared to how he was back then when he was ripped and barely the Blaster Jack era was getting started. But anyways, inspired by that. Now today we're going to be learning how to make Swedish chords, and it's going to be a very simple thing, but there's going to be a couple of things that we're going to talk about that you might be like, huh? So we're going to be using a quick tip. I got to give credit where it's due. I do watch the cymatics videos of their YouTube channel because they do have really good tips sometimes now and then that I don't know about. One of them was using the sub, instead of using the sub as, you know, the sub oscillator as a sub oscillator, aka it's going to be below everything. It's going to be like your lower layer. You can use it as another layer for, like, let's say another saw. Now the cool thing about this is that your sub is always going to be in the key that you're pressing, but you can always change the other oscillators, the keys they're in, aka let's say I play a G and you want oscillator A to play 2 semitones up and oscillator B to play 5 semitones up, then you can do that, and now you have this kind of 3-chord thing going on. It's like if I were to go on the piano and play like that, 3 keys at the same time. So that's what we're gonna do for this tutorial with the Swedish chords. Now sub oscillator is gonna remain at octave 0. That's what I want. So right now this sounds like this. It's very boring, but we're gonna get there. The next step is oscillator A. I'm gonna increase it by 3 semitones, and again, all this is saying is if I play a G, this oscillator is gonna play 3 semitones up. So 1, 2, 3. So it's gonna play the A sharp. You get me? Now this one, 5. And you can see where the whole kind of, it sounds in key, but it sounds kind of not in key. I'm confused kind of vibe comes. So the next thing we're going to do is put a filter and lower it. We're going to press B and our S. S stands for sub, B stands for oscillator B. Nothing comes out. Oh no, what went wrong? We're going to put an envelope to open the filter up. As you guys know, the envelope's like your little bitch. You know, you tell that guy, you put it on anything and it will do what you say. It's like, you know, your little slave. So you don't have to do it like yourself, like turning the knob. So with that being done there, with decay we can control, if we lower sustain all the way down to 0%, decay is going to allow you to pretty much control the punchiness of your sound. So depending on what you're going for, that's where you're going to decide whether you want to make it longer or make it, you know, punchier. Now, if you want to give it that technique that a lot of the progressive house guys are using, which is just adding a little bit of attack, you can do that, and you can add resonance too. Give it that effect, kind of make it more obvious that you're doing it. Okay, so I want it to go like that. That's all I want, okay? Now, once I have this, it's time to go to the fun part. For me, sound design, it's like you can have the most boring sound ever, but if you use the right effects, you can turn that sound into this polished beauty. You know, it's like you see a girl without makeup, you're like, fuck! And then you see them with makeup and you're like, what the fuck? What happened, you know? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna apply some makeup to the sound. The first one is hyper. Now, hyper is just gonna imitate kind of like having like hyper sauce. If you guys ever had like the Virus TI Snow or whatnot, it's just gonna make it sound bigger. You're adding pretty much more layers, in my opinion, of, you know, like the wavetables. So if you like that sound, then you stick with it. Now, dimensions, it's just the Haas effect, in my opinion. It's gonna give you that effect. It's kind of just making one of the left or right side of the speaker lag a bit. And it's gonna give you a kind of like, you trick your brain into thinking the sound is wider. You can see it, it's more obvious here. Like it's kind of like, you know, it's very fast. Okay, now reverb. And actually I want this to be punchier. Okay, we're gonna add compressor, and you can add multi-band if you want this to really be like punchy. Cover your ears. As you guys said so. EQ maybe if you want to kind of get rid of that super punchy feeling. Now, we're gonna add an envelope, and we're gonna make this sound even more punchier, where we're just gonna add this to the CRS. which is where you want to add any modulation you want to do to the pitch, in my opinion. Unless you're trying to make an ARP, then you would add it to, let's say, the semitone or octave, depending on what you're going for. Now, what we're going to do is go to the matrix, and we're going to make the type of the envelope we're using go one-sided, not back and forth, because then the effect isn't going to sound the way we want it to. We're going to lower this down a bit. You don't want to overdo it, and then you want to do it at a very fast rate, so no attack, no sustain, no release, just a little bit of decay. And there we have that. Now, depending on what you want to do with the sound, in reality, it's all up to you. It's if you want it punchy. Envelope 2 will be your kind of, you know, your envelope 2 will be how you control how the sound comes out of the filter. Usually envelopes, you can think of them as shapers, shaping your sound, because if it didn't have any of this shit on, the sound would just come out like, bleh, you know, so it's giving it that kind of feel. You can also do this, like, envelope 1 is going to be your amp envelope, which is routed to your master. So if your envelope 1, it doesn't have any release, and you give release to envelope 2, nothing's going to happen, because again, there's not going to be any sound to come out. But if we give them both releases, I'm going to get this one too. You know, you can do fun stuff. But the Swedish chord technique is just that, guys. You have 3 saws, each one at a different semitone, and it gives you that chord. You can even change it up, so maybe 4 and 7, I think. And each one's gonna give you kind of like a different vibe, as you can see. Now, one last thing to note is when you put your envelope 2 on there, you can have it not open up all the way, so then it can be more of a kind of filtered sound. As you can see there. Now, the Swedish chords, you know, they're used in a lot of genres. So you can use them in chill shit. You can use it in fucking future bass. I've heard it's in some of future bass, but it's kind of a little bit different, more majorish. But yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful for some of you guys that were asking for the Swedish chords tutorial. I'll try and have some more videos up for you guys. Trying to make a funny video, but I'm kind of lazy on doing the editing, to be honest. But we'll see what happens, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Snap. Ask me questions on there. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and have a great one.